My child, lock your attention here for a moment, because there is something happening around you that I do not want you to misread. That clarity you have been feeling lately, that quiet sense that something has finally clicked into place, that a pattern you have been circling for a long time has suddenly assembled itself. Do not let anyone talk you out of it, and do not mistake the reaction you are getting for what it appears to be. The coldness, the careful words, the way certain people have started watching you differently. That is not annoyance, my child. It is fear, and once you understand what they are afraid of, everything that has felt strange lately will begin to make sense. Let me tell you what actually happened. Somewhere recently you stopped performing. You stopped pretending a dynamic was healthy when it was not. You stopped laughing at the things that were never funny. You spoke plainly where you used to shrink, and the room noticed, and you felt exposed, and a voice began telling you that you had gone too far, said too much, revealed too much. But hear me carefully. It is not you who was exposed in that moment. It is the thing that only worked while you were asleep. The accuser has been whispering that your clarity is dangerous, that you would have been safer staying blind, that the moment you saw through the illusion you disqualified yourself from belonging. He wants you to believe your awakening is your punishment. My word says the opposite. It says the path of the righteous is like the first light of morning, shining brighter and brighter until the full day brighter. My child, what you know right now is not the ceiling. It is the dawn. If you feel that clarity in your spirit even now, somewhere in the comments type "This is happening to me," and let heaven mark that your eyes are open. Now let me name the pattern you are living, because I wrote a whole story into my word to prepare you for it. When I begin to separate someone for their purpose, the enemy rarely sends an obvious attack. That would be too easy to recognize. Instead, he weaponizes the familiar. He uses the voices you already trust, the relationships you already value, the rooms you already belong to. He makes the opposition feel like love and the warning sound like wisdom. This is exactly what happened to David before he ever wore a crown. There was Saul, and Saul did not hate David at first. He loved him. He brought him into the palace, honored him, set him at his own table. But the day the people began to sing David's name louder than his own, something cracked in Saul that he could never close again, and the love curdled into suspicion, and the palace that had sheltered David became the place that hunted him. And David had to learn one of the hardest lessons a chosen one ever learns. The place that once sheltered you can become the place that hunts you, and leaving it is not betrayal. Sometimes leaving it is obedience. But hear the other half of David's story, because it is the half your bitterness will want to skip. When David was on the run, hunted like an animal by the very king who once loved him, there came a night when Saul walked alone into the cave where David was hiding, defenseless, within reach. And the men with David whispered that this was the day that I had delivered his enemy into his hand. And David crept close enough to cut the edge of Saul's robe, and even that struck his conscience, and he would not lift his hand against him. He said it was not his to repay. He left the room that hunted him, but he refused to poison his own heart with revenge on the way out. My child, this is the road I am asking you to walk. You can leave the place that turned cold. You can walk out of the room that hunts you, but do not carry a knife out with you. Do not spend your new season rehearsing what they did and waiting to watch them fall. Leave and forgive, and let me be the one who settles every account. Because a heart that leaves clean walks into its next season free, and a heart that leaves plotting drags the old room along inside it. Leave the room, my child, but do not become it. And do not be surprised that the ones who should have honored you were the ones who could not. My own son went back to the town where he grew up, and stood up to teach in the very place that watched him become a man. And they took offense at him, and he said, "A prophet is not without honor, except in his own hometown and among his own relatives." He could do little there. My word says, because of their unbelief, not because his power had shrunk, but because the familiarity of the people who thought they already knew him closed their hearts to what he had become. So do not measure your calling by the applause of the room that raised you. Sometimes the people who knew the old version of you are the very ones least able to receive the new one, because they cannot get past the you they already filed away. That is not a verdict on your anointing. It is the ancient friction between the prophet and the hometown, and even my son walked through it. You are in holy company when the familiar place cannot see you. If you recognize that pattern in your own life, type "I am chosen, not cursed," and stop letting the coldness of a familiar room define your worth. And if a word like this is reaching the exact place it was sent for, then stay close to this voice for the road just ahead. The next word I have for you is about how I resettle a life after it leaves the familiar place. How I rebuild what feels lost when you finally walk out of the room that turned on you. Hit the follow button so it reaches you, because the enemy loves to isolate a chosen one in the very moment they step out. And I want the next word already waiting when the loneliness tries to talk you back into the old room. Now I have to be gentle here, because I do not want you to walk away from this hearing something I am not saying. Not everyone who has pulled back from you is an enemy, and not all of them meant you harm. Sometimes the people most frightened of what you are becoming are the ones who love you most, because your transformation is quietly asking them a question about their own life that they are not ready to answer. Your courage is confronting their fear. Your growth is exposing their delay, and rather than sit with that discomfort, they aim it back at you. They call your peace arrogance. They call your boundaries rejection. They call your stillness abandonment. And because you are still tender enough to care what they think, you stop and wonder if they are right. My child, this is the most sophisticated work the enemy has done on you, not in the loud storms, but right here, in the quiet erosion of your confidence, in the slow pile of small moments where you chose their comfort over your calling. If you see that clearly now, type "I see the pattern," and let the seeing be the place the cycle finally breaks. Let me speak directly to the thing that has kept you shrinking, because my word names it plainly. It says, "The fear of man is a snare, but whoever trusts in me is kept safe." A snare, my child, is a trap that catches you by the very thing you reached for. The fear of what people will think, of who will pull away, of how the room will react, has been the exact trap that kept you small. Because every time you sized yourself to their comfort, the snare tightened. And I did not call you to live inside that trap. When I set my prophet Jeremiah apart before he was even born, I knew he would face rooms full of hostile faces, so I told him something I am telling you now. Do not be afraid of their faces, for I am with you to deliver you. Do not be afraid of their faces. The cold expression, the disappointed look, the withdrawal that feels like a punishment. I am with you in front of all of it, and their faces do not hold your future. I do. My servant Paul said it another way. He asked whether he was trying to win the approval of men or of God, and he said plainly that if he were still trying to please men, he would not be a servant of Christ. You cannot serve two audiences, my child. The moment you make the room your judge, you unseat me from that place. Fear their faces less and trust mine more, and the snare that has held you for years will simply fall open. And do not be ashamed of how strong the pull backward feels, because even a people I had personally delivered felt it. When I brought Israel out of slavery with a mighty hand through a sea split down the middle, it was not long before they began to weep for Egypt. They said they remembered the fish, the cucumbers, the melons, the food of the very place that had enslaved them, and they wanted to go back. Hear how strange that is, my child. They preferred the familiar taste of bondage to the uncertain freedom of the wilderness. And you must understand this about your own heart, because it will try to do the same thing. In the empty stretch after you leave, your memory will grow suddenly kind toward the very room that hunted you. It will show you the melons and hide the chains. It will make the old bondage look like comfort, and the new freedom look like loss. Do not trust that homesickness. It is not wisdom. It is the wilderness testing whether you would rather be comfortable in slavery than free in the unknown. I did not bring you out to bring you back. Keep walking toward the promise, even when your memory begs for the melons. And my child, as this settles into you, let me widen your heart toward someone else, because this word was never meant to stop with you. Somewhere out there is a chosen one who has just been called too much, or told their clarity is dangerous, sitting in the cold silence of a room that turned on them, wondering if their awakening was a mistake. This work exists to carry a word like this into that exact silence, the way it found you today, And behind every one of these words is prayer and preparation, and the faithful partnership of people who received something real and chose to carry it forward. If it is on your heart, you can sow a seed into this work in their name, not to purchase anything from me, for I never sell what I give freely, and not from any fear that keeping what you have would cost you, because it never could. Your place with me is not for sale and cannot be lost. But if you would help this word reach the one still sitting in that cold room, you may visit the link in the description below, or scan the code on your screen. Give what your spirit confirms, and nothing more. Now let me speak to the loyalty that has been quietly draining you, because there is a version of loyalty I never asked you to carry, a loyalty built not on love but on guilt, not on covenant, but on the fear of what will happen if you finally become who I made you to be. You have been honoring that loyalty at the expense of your assignment. You have been treating relationships that were meant for a season as though they were meant for eternity, holding on to them long past the point where they could hold you. And let me challenge the thing you are most afraid of. What if staying small is the very thing destroying what you are trying to protect? What if the tension that rises every time your gift shows, the resentment building in rooms where your light is no longer welcome? What if that is not caused by your growth, but by your delay? What if the most loving thing you could do for the people in your life is to finally, fully, without apology, become who I created you to be? If that is exposing something you have never had words for, type, I release the old map, and let me show you a new one. Because that is exactly what I did with Moses. I did not only lead him out of Egypt, I led him through 40 years in the wilderness, and that was not punishment. It was a dismantling. He had spent 40 years in the palace with an Egyptian mind, an oppressor's assumptions, a slave master's way of thinking, and you cannot lead a free people with a slave master's mind. So I had to walk him through the wilderness to unlearn Egypt before he could lead anyone out of it. Hear this, my child, because it is the thing most people miss. I do not update old maps, I give new ones, and receiving the new map means setting the old one down completely. You have been trying to walk into a new season using thoughts that were formed in your last one. You have been trying to navigate new terrain with a map drawn for a country you already left. That is why so many receive revelation but never walk in transformation, because they want the new destination without releasing the old framework. My word says, do not be conformed any longer to the old pattern, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, not the repairing of the old mind. The renewing of it, a new map, my child. Take it and set the old one down. And hear the promise I attach to the new map, because it answers the fear that you will be lost without the old one. My word says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past, for behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Read every part of that, my child. First, forget the former things. The same instruction, set the old map down. Then, I am doing a new thing. So the unfamiliarity you feel is not you being lost. It is you standing at the edge of something that has never existed before, which is exactly why your old map has no road for it. And then the mercy. I am making a way in the wilderness. You have been afraid that leaving the known path means no path at all, but I do not lead my children into a trackless waste and abandon them. I make a way where there was no way, and I put rivers in the desert, provision in the exact place that looked barren. So do not perceive the new thing as danger just because your old map does not show it. The absence of the road on your old map is not the absence of a road. It is the presence of a way I am making as you walk. Consider Ruth, who set down the only map she had ever known. She had lost everything. And the reasonable thing, the safe thing, was to go back to her own country, her own people, her own gods, the familiar world she came from. Her sister-in-law did exactly that, and no one blamed her. But Ruth looked at a widow with nothing to offer her and said, "Where you go, I will go. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." She left the familiar for a covenant she could not yet see the end of, and she walked into a foreign land with no guarantee. And in that foreign land, in the very place her old map would have called empty, I had a redeemer waiting, a future she could never have found by going back, a lineage that led all the way to a king and beyond. My child, Sometimes the leaving that looks like loss is the doorway to a redemption the staying could never have reached. Ruth's whole future lived on the far side of a goodbye. Do not assume that what you are being asked to leave is worth more than what I have waiting on the other side of the leaving. And there is another picture my son gave for exactly this, because he knew you would try to carry the new thing in the old container. He said no one pours new wine into old wineskins, because the old skins have already stretched and hardened, and the new wine, still fermenting, still expanding, will burst them, and both the wine and the skins are lost. New wine goes into new skins. My child, what I am pouring into you now is new wine, alive, expanding more than the old shape of your life can hold. And this is why some of the old containers are cracking. It is not tragedy, it is chemistry. The new thing in you was always going to strain the old shape you were living in. So do not grieve the cracking of a container that was never going to be able to hold what I am pouring. Let me give you new skins for the new wine. A new shape of life able to expand with what I am doing, instead of forcing you to keep the old wine small enough to fit a skin that has already hardened. If this is landing deep, then do not lose this voice. The word after this one is about how I teach a heart to hold the new wine without fear of it. How I widen a life to carry more than it has ever carried. Hit the follow button and turn on the bell so that the next word finds you before the old container convinces you to shrink back down to fit it. Now let me take you to the deepest root, because it is not what you think. You have believed the thing holding you back is fear of failure, the fear that you will step forward and fall short. But hear the truth, my child. The deepest thing holding you back is not the fear that you will fail. It is the fear that you will not. It is the fear of your own becoming, the fear of what your life turns into when every excuse finally dissolves and all that is left is the fullness of who I made you to be. Because that version of you requires you to release an identity you have grown used to. The identity built around the struggle, around being misunderstood, around being the one who almost made it. That identity, painful as it is familiar, and familiar feels safe, even while it slowly suffocates you. This is the hidden agreement, my child. The one you made in the shadows of your own mind somewhere along the way. The quiet decision to believe that your story of pain was more real than your story of purpose, that your wounds had more authority over you than your calling. And until that agreement breaks, nothing else fully opens. The doors are there, the connections are ready, the provision is positioned, but none of it can move while the internal agreement still holds. If you are ready to break it, type "I will not shrink," and let that declaration shatter a ceiling that was never meant to stay. And do not believe you are too far into the old identity to be given a new one, because I have rewritten identities far more fixed than yours. There was a man so certain of his old self, so zealous for the old framework, that he was hunting down and destroying the very people I loved, convinced he was serving me by it. And I met him on a road, in a blinding light, and I did not merely correct his behavior. I dismantled his entire identity. The persecutor became the apostle. The one who tore down became the one who built. The man whose whole life had been organized around one framework had to be struck blind for 3 days, led by the hand like a child, and rebuilt from the inside out before he could carry the new thing. My child, if I can take the greatest enemy of the early church and make him its greatest builder, I am not intimidated by how deeply your old identity has set. My word says that if anyone is in me, they are a new creation. The old has passed away, and the new has come. Not the old repaired, the old passed away. You are not being asked to renovate the person the wounds built. You are being made new, and the version of you organized around survival is not being upgraded. It is being retired with honor, and a new creation is taking its place. And let me name the exploitation you have made peace with, because you have called it loyalty. Think of Jacob, who worked for a man named Laban for years, and Laban kept changing his wages, kept moving the terms, kept taking advantage of Jacob's willingness to serve, because as long as Jacob stayed, Laban prospered off of him. And there came a day when I told Jacob plainly, "Return to the land of your fathers. It is time to go." The arrangement that had used him for years was not something I asked him to endure forever. There is a difference, my child, between a season of faithful service and an arrangement that quietly feeds off you while giving less and less back. You have been in a Laban situation, and you have called your endurance there a virtue, when some of it was simply your reluctance to believe I would provide for you outside of the place that was using you. I am telling you what I told Jacob. It is time to go. The one who prospered from keeping you small does not get to hold your future as collateral. Return to what I have for you. I will provide on the other side of the leaving, the same way I provided for Jacob, who walked away from Laban with more than he ever gained by staying. And here is the shift that changes everything. And it is the opposite of what the striving part of you expects. What terrified the enemy about you was never your gifts, because gifts can be imitated, and it was never your platform, because platforms can be built and torn down. What terrified him was your surrender. The moment you stop fighting for your own agenda and simply become available to me, every force that has been working against you loses its main leverage, because opposition only works on a person who is striving, on someone trying to force doors open in their own strength. But a person in genuine surrender, who has released the outcome to me and simply walks in obedience, that person is untouchable in a way that has nothing to do with their own power. Surrender is not weakness, my child. It is the highest strength, because it admits that the real battle was never yours to win by force. My word says we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. The person in front of you was never the real war. The real war is inside you, between the version of you shaped by survival and the version of you designed by heaven. And you cannot win that war with the same striving that formed you in the place you are trying to leave. So lay the striving down. When you stop the frantic effort to control the outcome and yield to me, you become a different kind of dangerous. Not dangerous through force, but dangerous through alignment, and an aligned life moves mountains without ever raising its voice. If you can feel me asking for that surrender, type "This calling is mine," and loosen your grip on the outcome. My son said the thing that sounds like a contradiction until you have lived it. He said, "Whoever tries to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it." Hear that in the context of everything you are afraid to release. The part of you gripping the old identity, the old room, the old approval, is trying to save its life, trying to hold on to what feels like security. And the harder it grips, the more it loses. Because a clenched life cannot receive anything new. But the one who is willing to lose the old life, to let it fall open, to surrender the version of themselves they were clinging to, that is the one who actually finds life. The real one, the one I designed. So the surrender I am asking for is not a loss, my child. Even though it feels like one in the moment of letting go, it is the only door to finding what you were truly made for. You have to lose the smaller life to find the larger one. Open your hands. What falls out was never the treasure. What I place in them next is, if this word has reached the deep place, then let me remind you why staying near it matters. This work carries this same voice into the exact rooms where chosen ones are being called too much and told their clarity is dangerous. The way it reached you tonight. If your spirit moves you, you may sow a seed into that work through the link in the description or the code on your screen, not as a payment. For what I give freely, and never from fear of loss. Because you are as loved with a closed hand as an open one, and keeping what you have will not move you 1 inch from my heart. But if you would help carry this word to the next one sitting in their own cold room, give what your spirit confirms, and let even the giving be an act of the surrender you are learning tonight. Let me settle one more fear. The fear of walking out. You have been afraid that leaving the familiar place means abandoning people, breaking something you were supposed to keep. But my word is full of the ones I called to leave before they understood. I told Abraham to leave his country, his people, his father's household, and go to a land I would show him, and he went without a map, because the promise was in the going, not in the staying. My son said that no one who puts a hand to the plow and keeps looking back is fit for the kingdom. Not because looking back is a sin, but because you cannot plow a straight furrow while your face is turned toward the field you are leaving. And Paul, who had every reason to stay attached to his past, said this one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining toward what lies ahead. Forgetting, my child, is not pretending the past did not happen. It is refusing to let it keep steering. So if I am calling you out of a room, out of a season, out of a version of your life that has hardened around you. Do not read the leaving as betrayal. Some of my deepest obedience has looked to the people left behind like abandonment. Walk anyway. The promise is in the going. But when you go, my child, do not go the way Lot's wife went. When I pulled her family out of a city that was about to be destroyed, the one instruction was do not look back. And she was already out, already walking toward safety, but her heart was still behind her in the old place, and she turned to look, and she became a pillar of salt on the very road that was supposed to carry her to freedom. My son said only 2 words about her. Remember Lot's wife, because he knew this would be the temptation of everyone I call out of somewhere. It is possible to leave with your feet and stay with your heart. It is possible to be physically walking forward while your longing keeps turning around, and a heart that keeps looking back cannot fully arrive anywhere. So when I bring you out, come out all the way. Do not stand on the road of your deliverance with your face turned back toward the thing I am rescuing you from. What is behind you is behind you. Salt is what you become when you refuse to let it be. And let me redefine belonging for you. Because the enemy has convinced you that leaving a room means having no family. When my son was told that his mother and brothers were standing outside wanting him, he looked at the ones seated around him, the ones who had left their old lives to follow, and he said, "Who is my mother, and who are my brothers? Whoever does the will of my Father, that person is my brother and sister and mother." My child, he was not dishonoring his family, he was widening the definition of it. He was saying that belonging is not only a matter of the room you were born into. There is a family formed by shared obedience, by walking the same narrow road, and it is often truer and deeper than the one you inherited. So do not believe the lie that walking out of the old room leaves you an orphan. I am setting the lonely in families, my child. When you come out, I have brothers and sisters for you that you have not met. A table with your name on it, a belonging that is not built on managing anyone's comfort. You are not losing family. You are being led to the one that was always yours. And understand what I am actually doing in you, because it is deeper than a change of address. My word says you did not receive a spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but the spirit of adoption by which you cry out to me as Father. This was the whole point of walking Moses through the wilderness, and it is the whole point of yours. I am not only bringing you out of a place, I am bringing a mindset out of you. The slave's mind that flinches, that braces for punishment, that measures its worth by usefulness to a master. You have been serving me with a slave's heart, afraid, striving, certain that one wrong move ends everything. But I did not adopt a servant. I adopted a child, and a child does not have to earn the right to stay at the table. So let me take the slave mind out of you the way I took Egypt out of Israel, and give you the one thing the slave never had: the settled security of a son or a daughter who knows they are not going anywhere because they belong to the Father, not to the work. And do not think the discomfort you feel is a sign you have wandered off course. When an eagle wants her young to fly, my word says she stirs up the nest. She takes the comfort out of it on purpose, makes the soft place uncomfortable, so that staying becomes harder than leaping. I do the same, my child. Some of the restlessness you feel, the sense that the old place no longer fits, the friction where there used to be ease, that is not you failing to be grateful. That is me stirring the nest, taking the comfort out of a place you were never meant to stay, so that the terror of the edge finally becomes less than the terror of staying. The stirring is not rejection. It is how I teach a life built for the sky to stop settling for the nest. So when the familiar grows uncomfortable, do not rush to make it soft again. Ask me whether I am the one stirring it, because a stirred nest is often the first mercy of a God who refuses to let you die having never flown. And when the call to leave comes clearly, do not leave a door cracked behind you for a quiet return. When my prophet Elijah found Elisha, Elisha was plowing a field with his oxen, living the only life he had ever known. And when the call came, Elisha did something that tells you everything about a clean departure. He took the very oxen he had been plowing with, and he slaughtered them. And he used the wood of his plowing equipment to build the fire to cook them, and he fed the people, and then he rose and followed. He burned the plow, my child. He made returning to the old life impossible, because he understood that a heart holding an escape route back to the familiar never fully commits to the new. I am not always asking for a gesture that dramatic, but I am asking for the same finality of heart. Do not walk into your new season while quietly keeping the old one warm behind you, in case the new one gets hard. Burn the plow, not in bitterness, but in wholehearted commitment, so that there is nothing to crawl back to when the wilderness tests you, and the only direction left to you is forward, toward the thing I called you to. And when you look back, as you one day will, on the ones who went cold, on the rooms that hunted you, I want you to be able to say what Joseph said when his brothers, who had thrown him away, finally stood before him. Terrified that he would repay them, he wept and told them not to be afraid, and he said, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Hear the freedom in that, my child." Joseph did not deny that they meant him harm. He named it plainly, "You meant it for evil." But he had let me carry it so completely that he could see from the other side how I had woven even their betrayal into the very positioning that saved them all. That is the destination I am walking you toward. Not a heart that pretends it was never wounded, and not a heart still nursing the wound and waiting for revenge, but a heart free enough to one day say, "They meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." You are not there yet, and that is all right. But set your face toward that freedom, because it is the only ending that leaves you whole. Hear this before you go. My word says, "Come out from among them and be separate, and I will receive you, and I will be a father to you." There is a coming out that precedes a drawing near. Sometimes you cannot come fully into what I have for you while you are still fused to what I am calling you out of. And hear the thing your heart most needs as it lets go, because the fear underneath every leaving is the fear of being unloved once the familiar arms are gone. My word says, "I have loved you with an everlasting love, and with unfailing kindness I have drawn you." Everlasting, my child. Not a love that depended on the room, not an affection you have to keep earning by staying useful to someone, but a love that was set on you before the old room existed and will remain long after it is behind you. And I have promised, plainly, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So the ones who withdrew their warmth do not get the final word on whether you are loved. Their coldness is real and it hurt, but it did not touch the everlasting thing. You are walking out of a room that offered a love with conditions into the arms of a father whose love has none. You are not walking from love into loneliness. You are walking from a smaller love into the everlasting one that was holding you the entire time. And I know the loneliness of the in-between, the space after you have left the old room and before the new one has filled. But you are not alone in that space, my child. When Elijah thought he was the only faithful one left, utterly alone in his stand, I told him I had reserved thousands he could not see. You feel more alone than you are. I have people for you that you have not met yet, rooms prepared for you that you have not entered yet. And I myself am with you in the empty space between, closer than the ones who pulled away. And in that empty space, when your strength for the walk runs low, hear the promise made for exactly this stretch. My word says that those who wait on me will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Remember the eagle I told you about, the one I stirred out of the nest. This is the other half of that picture, my child. I do not stir you out of the comfortable nest and then leave you to fall. I stir you out so that you will finally spread the wings you did not know you had, and catch the current of my spirit, and rise higher than the nest could ever have carried you. The eagle does not climb by beating its wings harder than every other bird. It finds the rising air and spreads its wings and lets the wind lift it. That is what waiting on me is. Not striving harder in the empty space, but spreading your weakness out before me and letting my strength carry you up. So in the loneliness of the in-between, do not try to flap your way back to the nest. Spread your wings, wait on me, and let the same wind that emptied the old place carry you into the new. And know that this narrow road you are on, the one the crowd did not follow you onto, is narrow precisely because it is the right one. My son said that wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many walk it. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Hear the comfort hidden in that, my child. If you are feeling how few are walking beside you right now, how the crowd stayed back in the wide, comfortable room while you stepped onto a narrower path, that thinning of the crowd is not evidence that you went wrong. It is often evidence that you found the narrow road that few find. The broad road is crowded because it costs nothing. The narrow road is lonelier because it leads somewhere real. So do not measure the rightness of your path by how many stayed on it with you. Sometimes the emptiest looking road is the only one going where you were made to go. If you can trust my voice over their opinions, type "I trust his voice" and step forward into the space I am clearing, and stay close to this voice as you walk into that space, my child. Because the next word is the one built for the loneliness of the in-between, the practical help for the season after you have left and before the new has filled. Hit the follow button so it reaches you, because the empty space is exactly where the old room tries to call you back, and I want the next word already in your hands when it does. So place your hand on your heart, my child, and receive this as your own. You are no longer available to be diminished by what you survived. You release every agreement you made with limitation. You release every label placed on you by people who could not see what heaven sees. You release the need for their understanding, and you receive my assignment. You release the fear of your own becoming, and you step into the identity I wrote over you before you were born. The war was never yours to win. It was won before you entered it. Your only assignment is to walk forward, and you walk forward now, not in your own strength, but in the certainty that the one who called you is faithful to finish what he began. If you receive that, type "I surrender the outcome," and let it be sealed over your life. And if you are ready to stop looking back at the room you are leaving and face the road ahead, type "I walk forward now," and let heaven mark the direction of your feet. And now, one last word, gently, about the seed. Do not give tonight out of any obligation, and do not give from any pressure, real or imagined. Give because this message met you at your exact point of need, in a cold season, and named something no one else had words for. Give because you want to take part in what heaven is doing in the lives of the ones still sitting in the rooms that turned on them. Give because a hand that has learned to release is a hand that is finally open to receive. This work continues only through the ones who choose to carry it, through the link in the description or the code on your screen, and whatever you are able to leave, however small, genuinely helps this word keep reaching the next chosen one. Think of the one whose face has stayed with you through these words. Give what your spirit confirms, and then rest. So walk forward now, my child. The clarity you found was never your punishment. It was your dawn, and it is only going to grow brighter. The room that turned cold was not the end of your belonging. It was the stirring of a nest you had outgrown, and the fear you feel at the edge is not a warning to retreat. It is the last thing you feel before you fly. So set the old map down, pour the new wine into new skins, come out, and be separate, and let me be the Father who receives you. Stop striving, and let your surrender become the very thing that no force against you can touch. You are seen, you are chosen, you are already where you are supposed to be. And everything with your name on it is moving toward you even now. So walk forward, and do not shrink back again. What I have begun in you, I will complete.